Helen Darngood has suffered a permanent and severe brain injury. Because of this brain injury, she can no longer run her family business. She has lost the mental concentration that she once had, and she can no longer play the board games that she enjoyed playing with her husband, playing these board games with her husband. Helen Darngood no longer laughs and jokes with her children. Helen Darngood is in constant fear of a brain seizure that will cause her to become unconscious and fall helplessly to the ground. Helen Darngood has lost the personality and mental abilities that made her what she once was. Helen has lost Helen. Why has this tragedy occurred? Why has Helen lost Helen? It has occurred because Mr. Landers forgot the basic rules of safe driving. On December 23rd, Mr. Landers forgot that one should not drink and drive. On the late afternoon and early evening of December 3rd, date of the accident, Mr. Landers attended the Pick It Up Delivery Services Company. He drank beer at that Christmas party. He said to a coworker that he, Mr. Landers, should not be drinking alcohol at the party because he knew he had to make a delivery later that evening. Shortly after the accident, Mr. Landers' alcohol level was 0.059. At this level, driving is impaired. The maximum blood alcohol content for a commercial driver is 0.04. Mr. Landers' alcohol content was 1.5 times this level. On December 23rd, 2011, at 6 p.m. in downtown Nita City, Mr. Landers forgot that one needs to drive especially carefully at this time. The streets and the sidewalks are filled with holiday shoppers. People are starting to line up for the Holidazzle Parade, which is scheduled to begin 1 hour later. Mr. Landers forgot that reckless driving can ruin the life of an innocent person forever. How do we know this? Well, there are 3 witnesses that have testified that they saw the accident at this trial. Mr. Landers, Helen Darngood, and Cooper Earl. Of those 3, the only one who doesn't have anything really to win or lose at this trial is Cooper Earl. At the time of the accident, Cooper Earl was walking down 7th Street on his way toward the intersection of 7th Street and Smith Avenue, where the accident occurred. He was 60 feet from the intersection. The defense has claimed that somehow 60 feet is too far away, that he was distracted. When I think of 60 feet, I like to think of it in terms of something else. The van, the delivery van that Mr. Landers drove, was 19 feet long. Cooper Earl was only 3 van lengths away from that intersection. He was only 3 van lengths away from that traffic light. Now, traffic lights are designed to be seen from 60 feet and a lot further away than that. If they weren't designed that way, there would be accidents all the time. People drive at 25, 35, and 45 miles an hour. If you could only see a traffic light from 60 feet away and the light turned red, people would be running the lights every day. The defense has also claimed that somehow Cooper Earl could not see the 5,000-pound delivery truck driven by Mr. Landers speed up as it entered the intersection. They said that somehow there was too much traffic there. There were too many cars, too many minivans, too many SUVs. Let's consider the dimensions again of that van that Mr. Landers was driving. It's 19 feet long, and it's 7 feet high. I'm 6 feet. The van's roof is about here. That van towers over all the other cars that were present. It towers over all the other SUVs, and it towers over all the other minivans. It was most likely the longest and the tallest vehicle in the intersection at that time. Cooper Earl could easily see from his position, 3 van lengths away from the intersection, that van speed up as it crossed the intersection where the accident occurred. The defense has also claimed that somehow Cooper Earl and Helen Darngood are really good friends. Well, they have been acquaintances for 15 years. They met, they were in several classes together at Nita State University. From time to time, Helen Darngood buys something in Cooper Earl's bookstore, but they've never been to each other's house. They, together, just the two of them, or with their families, have never spent an evening together. Helen Darngood is at best a casual social acquaintance of Cooper Earl. The penalty for lying in this courtroom under oath is 5 years in prison and a fine of $10,000. Cooper Earl is not going to lie for a casual social acquaintance and risk a jail term of 5 years in prison and a fine of $10,000. Now, several times in this trial, I have said that Helen has lost Helen. All the money in the world cannot make Helen back into the person she once was. But you can provide the money that will help Helen and her family adjust to the difficulties of her new life. I guess I need a place to sit down.
You guys did some things that are a great example of why I think it's important to co-try things with people, because my mind doesn't work. Some of you are technical people. My mind doesn't work that way. You had a lot of really good technical arguments about how things, both of them, about how things work, and that's just not how my mind works. Kimberly, a couple of times you said, if then. If this is the way it was, then this is the way it was. In closing argument, it's okay to say, this is the way it was, so this is the way it was. I think it's okay to draw conclusions from the evidence, and it makes your argument more assertive. So the things you were saying were good. You could have, were you afraid to overstate them? Or is that just how you
think the
talk?
only place that I did it was...
There were two places, but I couldn't identify it.
I think the only place that I know that I did it is she was also negligent, and if she wasn't negligent, then it was an unavoidable